Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles podcast on a Tuesday afternoon. Getting right into it here with Brian Baldinger of NFL Network, the All-City NFL podcast, Mr. Ubiquity as it comes to football this time of year. Baldy, thank you for joining us, and I think you know that the mood here is a little bit frothing at the mouth after the disastrous performance against the Arizona Cardinals. I guess my first question to you, when you watch the film of that game, are you angrier at the defense for the complete ineptitude, giving up 4 touchdowns on 4 drives in the second half, or are you a little bit more flummoxed with the offense, turtling at the end, knowing that the defense is playing as badly as it is and not really going for the jugular there?
Well, I announced the game, so seeing it live and just seeing the crowd's disdain for that level of football, and then watching it, it was actually worse watching it and studying it than it was actually seeing it live, because the ineptitude on defense is at every level. It's tackling, it's linebacking play, it's assignment football. I mean, it's on every level. It looks broken. I'm pretty good friends with Mark Dalton, who used to be with the Eagles. He's the PR director for the Cardinals. I texted him after the game. I go, when was the last time the Cardinals didn't punt in a game? And he said it's only the second time in 60 years.
Wow.
That the Cardinals played a game and didn't punt. Like, nobody would want that on their resume, but the Eagles have it on the resume. So to answer your question, Bo, I would say I'm the disdain I have for the defense is it's just, it's not NFL quality defense at all. And they've got major issues, and they can change coordinators, they can do a lot of stuff. But that looks like a broken side of the football right now.
I just finished speaking to Matt Patricia, and he said that it's starting with the run defense this week, and that's the big focus. As you're announcing it and as you watched it back, what's the biggest issue with this run defense?
Well, you have to decide if you're going to stay blocked, Zach, or if you're going to get off a block. Like, it starts with defeating blocks. And then once you make that decision that you're not going to be blocked, because you have that decision to defeat blocks, there's a lot of different techniques to do it. But once you decide you're going to not be blocked, then it's a question of, do you want to tackle or not tackle? Because the tackling was atrocious. So you can say run fits. I mean, that's what Matt would say, like our run fits had to be better. Shaq Leonard's got to be here, and the run fits are bad, and where the safeties fit in. And like, that's walk-through stuff. That's technical stuff. But really, it comes down to defeating blocks and wanting to tackle. And the Eagles look like they didn't want to do either one of them on Sunday.
We talk about whether this defensive coordinator switch mattered. Obviously, it seems to have backfired. Not that this performance is all on Matt Patricia, but one thing we did see in this game, Baldy, they leaned into those 5-man fronts in this game, right? And we know that they're light at linebacker. Maybe that's part of the reason there, but it allowed Haason Reddick to have to drop so many times in this game, which Zach wrote about in his story after the game. Yeah. His season high in terms of him dropping. The most talented player on your defense, you're not getting the most out of him. But if you were trying to get inside, Matt Patricia's mind, what would be the reason behind leaning into those 5-man fronts in this game?
Well, that was the answer last year when teams were running the football against them. They played a 5-man defensive front. TJ Edwards was basically the linebacker. They played 5-man front because Arizona was running the ball against them. And you kind of go there and go, okay, we'll just go head up and we'll just take all the holes away right here, and we'll defeat you at the point of attack. And they still got moved. I mean, Paris Johnson and the whole group, Hernandez and Froholt. I mean, they moved them off the ball. So I thought that's why he probably went to the 5-man defense front. I'm with you, Zach. I'm watching, Haason, dropping the coverage, and well, if that's the case, then flip Haason to the other side, or whatever. But whatever you got to do. But they don't do that. So, but that's the downside. Is if they're going to throw it, then you're going to get Haason basically buzzing out into coverage and, defending the flat out there like he was when they're not running it. And so that's the downside to it.
In speaking about the tackling, I framed it to Patricia in such a way that they have these walkthroughs on Wednesdays. It's week 17 of the season. Or it's week 18 now. They're barely practicing at this point. They really haven't had a regular practice cadence in terms of working on fundamentals, and he agreed that's not something you can really do much this time of year. So how do you fix it? He talked about things with tackling dummies and, focusing on technique. But is this something Eagles fans just need to live with here going into the postseason?
Well, I wouldn't live with it,
Die
and I
with it.
wouldn't use
Yeah.
that as an excuse. Like it makes me sick. Like I think Lori was sick
Hmm.
watching the effort. This is just effort, Zach. There's certain, like, for example, if you're on the Michael Carter bounce to the outside, I don't know if that was Eli Ricks right there,
Yes.
whoever it was, at the corner. Um, you got to shoot for the outside leg. You can't let him bounce outside on you. You turn him into all your help. Avonte Maddox was awful on Sunday, but like he hadn't played in forever. Like I
Yeah.
expected him to be rusty, and so I think Avonte will be better this week. But his tackling was atrocious. The angles were bad. He was leaving his feet, but he hasn't played in 3 months. I don't know. Like they wanted him back in the worst way, and I don't blame him. It's been a big void in this defense, but you got to know where your help is at. You got to stay on your feet. You got to keep your head up. I mean, there's just things that you can do, that you have to be able to do, just to be able to get on the field and stay on the field in this league.
And I feel like we ask you about this every week now, Baldy, but what happened to this defensive line?
Well, I mean, it's clear that Jordan Davis is out of shape. Like, I don't know what they find him, Zach. You're in there every day. Like, I don't know what they find him every week, but I got to believe he's getting money taken from him. He's overweight, and it shows. Like, he's not pursuing the football. He's nothing in the pass rush. So that's one. So if he's going to play with that effort and be overweight like that, then you say, okay, well, they're a man short in the rotation. Fletcher's playing too much. Jalen's because he's not effective right now. They need another guy inside in their defensive tackle rotation. I'm not sure why he keeps dressing. He's not. He's been ineffective.
Wow.
When the plays are going on, he is basically walking on the field. It's bad effort. But guys are getting blocked right now up front. And pass rush is about technique. It's about getting on the edge. It's about stunts. It's about different ways to get guys free. And look, Arizona did get rid of the ball quickly. Kyler is extremely athletic and mobile, as we know. So he's a difficult guy to get down. But still, he escaped too many times on Sunday.
I want to follow up on that because in these 3 games under Patricia, they've had 4 sacks, right? And that's not the way this defense is built. And whenever I ask about it, I hear that same excuse that the quarterback's getting rid of the ball quickly. Does that carry water? Is there a rush and cover element to this? Are there opportunities that they're not taking advantage of? How do you see it as far as the pass rush?
Well, I think, pass rush always marries coverage, Zach. So, you talk to the great elite pass rushers in the league, whether it was Haason or Nick or Max Crosby, whoever. I mean, they'll tell you that, look, I have a much better chance of affecting the quarterback if he has to hold the ball an extra tick. And so coverage and jump, taking away Trey McBride, their number 1 receiver, whatever it is, taking that away and forcing the quarterback to go to the second or the third option, you have a much better chance of hitting the quarterback and affecting the quarterback. So I do think those two things do marry together. And I do think at times the coverage is too soft and it's too easy for the quarterback to make first read decisions.
Let's talk about the offense for a minute, Baldy. I think my big picture question here is, we know what they did on 1st and 20 there, game on the line. They're going quarterback run, then a read option, and then the give up screen to Kenny Gainwell. There are times in the red zone when they just are not willing to throw the ball. Do you think they trust Jalen enough?
I don't know. AJ Brown would tell you better trust him. Like you're making me invisible out here, and you could just tell, like he's ticked. Like I just didn't understand the hitch. None of the fans did either. The fans are smart; they know what's going on. Like why wouldn't you? This is the worst. They've got nothing but rookies out there playing on the corners, and they never really attacked them. I know Devontae dropped one down the field, and he can make that catch. You could make it a little bit better throw. He had the corner beat. But, they got rookies out there playing in the corners, and they really didn't attack them, I didn't think, the way I think they're capable of attacking them. And so that last throw on the hitch screen, that's just a hope and a prayer that you get enough linemen out there, you pick guys off. It's a real hit or miss play. I'd feel a lot better about they got down there because of A.J. Brown on a slant route where they gave him the slant, and he picks up 20. I'd feel a lot better if I was, calling a play up for A.J. Brown in that situation.
Yeah, in AJ's case, 1 target in the second half. I think 10 pass attempts for Jalen Hurts. What's the film showing you there? Are there opportunities where they need to get the ball to AJ? Is it a matter of defenses focusing on him?
Well, they didn't have the ball a lot, Zach. Number one. I mean, Arizona played keep away. They had long drives and long, drives that were long possessions. They didn't have the ball a lot. I always think, if you got a star player like A.J. Brown, I don't care if you have the ball 10 plays in the whole half. You have chances to get your star player the ball, you get him the ball. I just don't think you don't have to overthink this. There's a lot of different ways to do it. There's bunch formations, there's, motions. There's all kinds of things you can do to get A.J. loose and to get him free. So they just have to make a concerted effort to do it.
So, Baldy, I mean, any hope for the playoffs? Do you think there's any chance they can turn this thing around?
They looked well. I think there is a chance. I still think they can be a good power running football team. I think there's people in that building that don't believe that's the way to win titles. Kansas City looks like they're doing it that way. Buffalo looks like they're doing it that way. Baltimore's been doing it that way. San Francisco runs more than they throw it. I just think they have to get rid of these analytics and just go, this is the best thing that we have. Let Landon Dickerson and Jordan Mailata just move people. Let, Juergens and Kelsey, let these guys move the line of scrimmage and let them win it old-fashioned. Become a power-running football team. They activated Rashad Penny for a reason, I think, and then he didn't play. So that's what I would like. I would go test it against the Giants this week. I'd go become and morph into a power running football team against the Giants. If you throw it against Wink Martindale, he's going to hit you. He hit Matt Stafford last week, and we'll see what happens. But he's going to get guys free to the quarterback. It's just, if you can make him pay, you can make him pay. But I'd go up there to MetLife Stadium and pound the football, because I think if they got to go to Tampa, they can beat Tampa. I think they can. We'll see if they can control Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans, but I think they can beat Tampa. I wouldn't put them against I wouldn't make them favorites against any other team at this point right now, the way they're playing and the attitude that they're playing with. I wouldn't make them favorites against any other team.
On that note, there's a lot of conversation in this city right now about Nick Sirianni. What's your read on the way this team is responding to him? I know you're not in that room and per se, but he is the head coach. He's the one delivering that message. What are you seeing and hearing in that regard?
Well, I mean, look, you can listen to you have to listen to these press conferences every day. It's lip service at this point. Nothing's changing. I mean, he said after the game, like he said after the game before, we got to get this fixed and we got to get it fixed now. Okay. Well, it didn't seem like there was any urgency in getting it fixed. Okay. And so it starts with, have they tuned Nick out? I don't know. Is the message getting through? I don't know. The performance isn't getting any better. And so, I mean, they did beat the Giants, and maybe nobody seemed too excited about beating the Giants on that sideline. So to answer your question, I mean, I think there's a real question mark about Nick right now. I like Nick. I think everybody does and respects him, but you've got to light a fire under this football team right now. And that's the head coach's job. He doesn't call plays. He doesn't do a lot of game day, but that's his job, to get these guys coming out of the tunnel ready to play. Whatever they got to do during the week, whatever that is, put the pads on and go 9-on-7, whatever it is, he's got to make a change, I think, in the way that he's coaching this team for this team to change. And so that's all on Nick right now.
Well, it's certainly something that we will be following over the course of the next couple weeks. Baldy, thank you so much for your time. We'll talk to you next week when we have a playoff game to talk about, but who knows if the vibes will be any better.
Yeah, well, we've got, the good thing about football, Bo, is we live in 7-day life cycles and things can change in an instant. Maybe next week at this time, we'll be talking a little bit more positive about this team.
Zach likes to say every week is a season. You are a man after his own heart.
Yes. Take care, guys. Thanks,
man. Thanks, Baldy.
We all silly like the mayor.